Hey, what's going on everybody? It's DJ Sketch and welcome back to the channel. And today we got a video with 100% less salt, so let's get right into it. I know E3 ended about 2 weeks ago, but I'm behind the times, sometimes, and I stay busy, or at least I try to stay busy. So I wanted to go ahead and try to talk about some of the stuff from E3 that actually caught my attention from this year, and also just some of the stuff in general, because compared to other E3s of the past, this one could be considered a weak conference, maybe. But there was some cool stuff, I'll definitely admit that. There's some stuff I really was stoked on. And as I was saying, this year's E3 left a lot of things to be desired as far as some of these conferences were concerned. Majority of them were straight up snooze fest, I'm sorry. It was like a lot of these, it's like, really? Like, people paid money for this, and people paid money to see this. Gross. Though there were more than a couple things to actually get hyped on out of the things that were shown off this year. But boy, oh boy, there's some things that you may want to forget if you haven't already. So for starters, EA. Maybe they'll put some surprise mechanics in the games and make them good this year. Or next year, hopefully, but we'll see. So this press conference was not only boring, but it really had nothing of note to speak of except for Respawn's new Star Wars game, Last Jedi. Or not Last Jedi, but I don't know what they're calling it. Like, some of this stuff, like, I'm just so, like, underwhelmed by. It doesn't really matter what it's called anymore to me, because I'm not buying it. And, but this one, the new Respawn Star Wars game, that actually does look cool. And, actually that has, like, a lot of comparison between, like, Sekiro, and also apparently it's going to be a Metroidvania type game. We're going to have certain attachments to get to certain places, so on and so forth. And that sounds cool. That's one of the few things with EA game that I've actually been kind of stoked on in a long time. And with Respawn, like, I'm down to ride with these dudes. So I'm hoping this will be good, and I'm hoping we're gonna see some really cool footage of it later on when it's closer to completion. And also, not surprisingly, barely anything mentioned about Anthem as far as DLC, the Cataclysms, any of that. No one said barely anything about it. Any release dates? Nope. Any actual dates on anything? Nope. And yeah, so basically that game's dead. But we knew that already. And FIFA 20 and everything else shown off, I mean, yeah, they're coming out, but also too long, didn't read, don't care. And onward, Microsoft had some heavies of their own this year too. Finally announcing and showing off vaguely the Xbox Scarlet, which will actually be on shelves next year along with Halo Infinite. And for the little bit of Halo Infinite that they showed, that actually looks pretty solid as well. Also a kind of a heavy one, and also like shocker to some, but also then again not to others. Phantasy Star Online 2 is going to be free to play, and it's coming to the States finally with an actual translation. And it's going to be on Microsoft's Xbox. I believe that's going to be on the Xbox One as well before the Scarlet or whatever they're actually going to officially call it. But this one was actually a cool one, because like PSO back on the GameCube days, like that was the shit. So I'm stoked to see that. That was actually a really cool announcement, along with a few other ones. Also, like, Rare is finally getting to show off Battletoads, and I actually got to see gameplay of that. And, you know, it looks like a Battletoad game. It looks like a Battletoads, but just maybe, like, 20 years later. Which I'm hoping was the point, because that's basically what you get. And, you know, like, I can't beat any of the Battletoads games except for the arcade one, but I'll check this out whenever that gets released. And Square Enix pretty much legit had, like, the best conference in all of E3. Them and Devolver Digital. Those dudes and ladies also had a that show was hilarious. But a release date for Final Fantasy VII has finally been announced. It's March 2020, along with a ton of other releases. There's going to be a Secret of Mana collection, which also is going to be off the chains. You're finally going to get those other two Mana games that didn't get released in the States on the Super Famicom. And they're fire. You should check that out. And let's see, what else did they have here? Oh yes, that's right. They also have a new IP coming out with People Can Fly, which is an interesting little combination here. These are the Gears and Bulletstorm people, called Outriders. Like, this game, like, they didn't even really show any gameplay of it, but just the cinematics and what they had alone, that looks tight. So I'm curious. I'm very curious to see like what is good with that. And Bethesda, besides a bunch of self-referential jokes about 76 and whatever, Bethesda didn't have all bad stuff this year, but they didn't really make any friends with 76, so it's getting better. But yeah, let's move on. They announced a new horror IP called Ghostwire Tokyo, and like, this one looks cool with Shinji Mikami at the helm, and is now a protege Ikumi. She's going to be directing it this time around. It's a new survival horror IP, but no gameplay has been shown yet. And this chick got personality, man. Ikumi, like she's adorable, man. And I'm stoked to see like if these two together, like I'm really curious like what their game is going to be like. So we're gonna see hopefully some more about that in the very near future. Hopefully there'll be something playable with that soon. And a lot of Tom Clancy games, like a staggering amount of Tom Clancy games. So many I'm just gonna kind of skip over all of them. And a Commander Keen reboot, which looks like fucking garbage. Some classes just need to be left alone. Just stop already. And Deathloop, the new Arcane IP, like this one also looks pretty interesting. However, the big ticket from Bethesda, of course, is going to be the new Wolfenstein and Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal looks fucking gnarly, so I personally can't wait for that. That's going to be also day one pickup, no question. And last but certainly not least, Nintendo. Nintendo was out here with some bangers, dude. I don't even have a Nintendo console. I haven't bought a Nintendo console since the Wii, but the Switch, I'm going to have to go ahead and get down with that, because now, finally, not a spin-off, we finally got No More Heroes 3 coming also in 2020, along with a remaster of Panzer Dragoon, the OG from the Sega Saturn, so that's going to be interesting, and I want to play that. I really want to play that again. I'm surprised it took it so long for this to actually happen, but whatever, man, like, better late than never. And the new Zelda trailer as well for the still yet to be named Breath of the Wild sequel. That also should be an interesting one. So again, I don't have a Switch and I didn't play the Wii U version, but I heard enough people rave about this game, so I'm curious. Let's see what's good with it. But also there was some Dookie album with this gold too, and the Contra collection, that's dope. Actually, we're still doing some videos about that as far as like Contra retrospective, but they also showed off a new Contra game that's like Contra Rogue Corps, and that I don't know how to feel about that. I just saw like a panda with a machine gun, and yeah, I don't know how to feel about that, but we'll talk about that some other day. But all in all, there's some genuine stuff to be hyped on from this year's E3, and there's a lot of meh stuff on display too. But I guess all we can really do is wait and see what Sony's cooking up, because again, let's not forget they weren't there. And since they bailed on this expo altogether this year, they still haven't really said much about what they're really doing or what they're releasing, even though there's some of it's fairly obvious. But we shall see what happens whenever they announce whatever they're gonna announce. But sick, you made it this far. Awesome. I'm glad you find this a resource, and I hope you find this helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.